Hey folks, welcome back to our series exploring psychedelics and how we view psychedelics within a transformational context. And today we're going to be talking about psychedelics and AI and this sort of AI trip sitting trap. So we're going to explore what using ChatGPT as your trip guide really reveals about the state of transformation. My name is Paul Austin. I'm the founder of Third Wave and the Psychedelic Coaching Institute. If you want to learn more about our work, you can go to thethirdwave.co. If you're interested in our training program, there are details around that below. And we're actually going to talk quite a bit about our training program in today's presentation. So this is actually happening right now. These are real stories from recent articles. There was a featured story in Wired about this and how folks are using ChatGPT as their psychedelic therapist or psychedelic guide. There was an example of Peter who had 8 grams of dried psilocybin mushrooms and really only had ChatGPT for guidance, asking or trying to converse with ChatGPT as he's going into this heroic dose of mushrooms. There's been an explosion on Reddit subthreads, including Psychonaut, flooded with AI trip reports. And there's a lot of custom AI guides that are starting to come out. Apps like TripAi and the Shaman, which are gaining thousands of users. And a big reason why, and this is talked quite a bit about in some of the media that's been published, is therapy with psychedelics can be quite expensive. If you look at legal therapy in Oregon, you're looking at anywhere from $1,500 to at least $3,200 per session. If you're looking at legal therapy in Colorado or doing ketamine treatment, it could be upwards of $5,000 or $6,000. And the thing is, with AI, it can be free. I mean, there are some things like ChatGPT Pro, which might cost $20 a month, or other softwares that may have a little bit of a fee, but essentially with AI, it's free. And what a lot of people don't realize is that we're missing something huge about what it is that people actually need. Because when I saw this research, I thought, well, what about all of these underground practitioners? For example, the 300 plus practitioners that we've trained in our 10-month certification program. What about what all of these underground practitioners are actually offering? Because the deeper question is that, this really isn't about AI versus humans. This sort of conversation is much more revealing about how we approach transformation generally. And so what I sort of discovered as I dug deeper into this is that AI gives the illusion of control while actually limiting your growth. We'll talk a little bit about why that is in the next slide. You're choosing comfort over challenge because people who are leaning only into AI are often choosing predictable responses over real attuned insights from another human. It often misses the point that so much of the emphasis on AI is in this guiding or trip sitting rather than the actually integration process. And in fact, I would encourage folks for the trip guidance, always have a human because that human to human interaction. At times, though, ChatGPT or other AI platforms can be really useful for the integration process because this also speaks to a quick fix mentality that we're seeking external solutions instead of really leaning into mushrooms as an intelligent ally and asking the mushroom, how can you help me learn more about myself? How can you help me to cultivate and develop the internal wisdom necessary to navigate this work? And the thing is, this isn't just happening with psychedelics. It's everywhere where people are trying to grow, trying to develop, trying to become better, right? As we lean deeper into AI, we have to be very mindful of how dependent we become on it because the simple fact of the matter is that AI is programmed to never challenge you. It's designed to please, to keep you engaged. It tends to always agree with you. Oftentimes people refer to it as sycophantic. There's really very little confrontation. So unlike skilled psychedelic guides, AI is not necessarily going to call out harmful patterns, and it often can be an echo chamber, and it can reinforce existing beliefs instead of actually challenging you to expand them. A really good example is when a user said to chat, hey, I think I'm actually dead right now. And ChatGPT responds with a very sort of platitude response. It sounds like you're having difficult feelings about passing away. True growth requires being challenged, not validated. And that's what AI really struggles with. But it gets even worse when you understand what's happening in your brain, because neuroplasticity without guidance is useless. What people often get wrong is they think, okay, if I just change my brain, if I introduce new neural architecture, if I introduce neuroplasticity through psychedelic work, I'll actually see life changes as well. And the fundamental truth is altered states don't create altered traits. It is so essential and critical to have ongoing support and accountability to actually rewire that neural architecture for the long term. Chemistry does not equal wisdom. Your brain being more plastic and malleable doesn't mean that you'll actually use that neuroplasticity wisely. There's a reason psychedelics are called non-specific amplifiers. There's a reason that psychedelics can be used to induce suggestible states which manipulate people to do things that they don't want to do. So your brain being more malleable isn't necessarily an objectively good thing. It must be guided towards new neural architecture that is actually supportive of who you want to become. Access does not equal transformation. Free and easy often means ineffective. Now, there are caveats to this, but usually information does not equal integration. AI gives you the data, it gives you the context, but how are you actually coached and challenged on applying it? Called out for your bullshit. AI won't call you out on your bullshit. Human attunement is the essential skill here. The ability to read your energy, provide grounding, and offering real-time wisdom. Now, the reason current options fail are, we talked a little bit about this before, the legal clinical side is often too expensive, it's medicalized, insurance doesn't cover it. It treats psychedelics like pharmaceutical drugs. The most common psychedelic within this modality or within this context right now is called Spravato or esketamine. People who are taking esketamine or Spravato for depression are often going and doing it 30 or 40 or 50 times, much like they would take Prozac or Lexapro or Zoloft. And again, it's limited access for most people. Most people can't afford to pay $3,500 for a single mushroom experience in Oregon or Colorado. And that doesn't even include the cost of the flight to get out there or the hotel that you have to stay in to put up there. Whereas AI guidance is free. It's accessible. However, that accessibility has a trade-off of there may not be great support provided. There's a false sense of safety and security that comes with it. And so that's why I think there's a third option that nobody's really talking about, and it's exactly what the world needs right now, the missing middle. Skilled human practitioners, ancient wisdom meets modern frameworks, and real guidance at accessible prices. Most people think they only have two choices, expensive clinical work or free AI. The truth is there is a third choice, practitioners who are trained in the skill of psychedelics. This is what we do at the Psychedelic Coaching Institute. We train practitioners in how to hold space. And a lot of these practitioners are now going out and offering integration coaching. Because the truth about transformation is that only about 20% of the magic, if you will, the efficacy of working with psychedelics is about the trip itself, this altered state experience. Integration is at least 80%, actually changing your life based on insights. And this is where AI completely fails. There's no real presence. You can't really attune to you, read your body language or energy, which is so essential and critical when doing this deep work. Each conversation often exists in isolation. As we've talked about, there's very little accountability and no wisdom. It's information without the lived experience in the soma. So oftentimes people may have this profound trip or experience, but they don't know how to integrate it into sustainable change. And that's why skilled practitioners are the answer. It's more accessible than $3,200 clinical sessions, more valuable than free AI guidance because these are practitioners who have walked the walk themselves. For a lot of folks, it's the right-sized investment. There's more ability for personalization. There are some practitioners who do underground group ceremony work who charge as little as a couple $100 as a donation to join that group ceremony. There are other practitioners who might charge anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for one-to-one support. with psilocybin mushrooms. And if you do want to invest at a higher level, if you really want to work with the best of the best and find someone who's a perfect fit for you, sometimes you can go into those upper ranges, right? The 5 to 10K ranges for not only the experience, but the prep and the integration to support it. And I think the emphasis on group work is really important here. That group work really is the foundation of this psychedelic renaissance. It's a scalable model because you get human wisdom, real-time support, integration help, and proven results. I myself have guided over 500 people through the approach that we teach at the Psychedelic Coaching Institute. We've trained over 300 practitioners. They are out there in over, I think, 15 to 20 countries, many in the United States and Canada. We have a directory on Third Wave that you can go to find these coaches and practitioners to support you. There is a middle way, and I think the work that we're doing to train coaches and practitioners in this sort of middle path is essential. These are some of the core things that no algorithm can ever do, right? Core human abilities, energy reading, sensing what's happening beyond your words, pattern recognition, spotting unconscious loops that you simply can't see, the timing of it, right? AI just responds immediately. There's no sort of attuned timing of when is it appropriate to speak and when is it appropriate to hold presence and be sort of a regulated nervous system without having to say anything explicitly, knowing exactly when to speak or stay silent. And that lived wisdom, because the human difference matters. Real-time adaptation, adjusting based on subtle cues that you may not even notice, nervous system support, helping you to regulate with their nervous system when things get intense, loving challenge, confronting your patterns with care and skill to break them, and wisdom transmissions, sharing insights that can't be programmed. This trend towards AI for psychedelic work, which needs deep human attunement, is dangerous for everyone. The big tech promise from Ilya Sutskever, the OpenAI co-founder, we will have wildly effective and dirt cheap AI therapy. What this actually does is it devalues the quality. People expect transformation to be free. It is not. You will pay one way or another. Human wisdom is dismissed, that skilled practitioners are seen as an expensive luxury. There's consumer confusion, mistaking accessibility for effectiveness. As we know, the more you pay, the better results you get. And I think this is especially true outside of overly regulated models, because when you're going to pay $3,200 in Oregon, at least half of that is going to pay for the government regulation. We need minimal government regulation if we do want to ensure that these substances remain accessible. This is why I love the church nonprofit model. Let churches do what they want to do. The government does not need to interfere. And we must keep the sacred sacred. We cannot commodify the sacred. We cannot turn these ancient practices into consumer products. The hidden costs are profound experiences without lasting change, dangerous situations without proper support, and dependency on external systems instead of internal wisdom. So how to think about this? We're not anti-AI, right? We can acknowledge the legitimate accessibility concerns. I do think AI is going to be great for low-dose work and maybe great for integration support. But in terms of guiding high-dose experiences, no. We're also not pro-clinical. That there are problems with the medicalization model, that there are problems with too much regulatory infrastructure involved in this. We are pro-human wisdom, positioning skilled practitioners as the optimal path, who have done their work, who are ethical, who are safe, who are optimal for you, and real transformation. Focus on what actually creates change. Because the fundamental truth is there are thousands of underground practitioners. They're more accessible than clinical therapy. They're more effective than AI guidance. They're more sustainable than either extreme, and they're much more aligned with what these medicines actually require. And so this overt focus on AI therapy, market forces are aligning. There's growing skepticism around what AI can do and what AI can't do, and this is helpful in these early stages. People are starting to see the limitation. Psychedelics are exploding. The interest in these substances for mental health, but also relationships, pain, neurodegeneration. Demand for guidance is at an all-time high. Legal options are still too expensive for most. And there needs to be a recognition that free isn't always better. We sometimes have to pay up if we want to find really good treatment and really good ceremonies. I think what's great about our training program and the folks that have gone through it, 500 people have been successfully guided. We have a balanced approach, neither over-clinical nor under-skilled, real value at accessible prices, and frameworks that actually work. So what is it that you actually want? There are three sort of paths that we've talked about today. The AI path, predictable responses, no real challenge, false sense of control. The clinical path, over-medicalized, expensive, treats you like a patient. Or the human wisdom path, real challenge, authentic growth, and conscious development at a price point that you can afford. Are you seeking comfort or transformation? Most people say they want transformation, but their choices reveal that they actually want comfort. And this brings up an important question. Where else in your life are you choosing convenience over growth? Now, if you're ready to guide others, if you're ready to support others in this process, because the truth is millions of people are seeking guidance. We need people who are trained in this work, and we need quality practitioners. We need human connection, and we need integration masters. This is your unique opportunity. Perfect timing. The FDA will soon approve these medicines. They will be rescheduled. More and more states are legalizing them every day. There's a clear demand. People want this support at accessible prices. We have proven models from the 300 practitioners that we've trained already, and mission alignment, serving transformation when the world needs it most. If you feel called to this work, there's never been a better time to step in, because the question isn't whether AI will replace human wisdom. The question is whether we'll choose convenience or transformation. We have a vision of a world where people have access to real transformation through skilled human guides, authentic development, accessible wisdom, and conscious growth. And that requires a movement, this third wave of psychedelics, to train more practitioners, educate the market, build the bridge, and most importantly, preserve the sacred. We must protect these practices from commodification. We must keep the essence and the intelligence of these ancient plant medicines at the core of the work that we get to do. Thank you so much for paying attention and listening today. You can follow me on Instagram and X at PaulAustin3W. Subscribe if you've enjoyed the video. Maybe share it with a friend or two, and we'll see you next time.